All right, we're going to continue this talk about relations and functions, and we're going to talk about function notation right now. And this is kind of straightforward and very simple, but I think over time people have shown me that they've made it a little more complicated than it should be. It's just a notation. So we've already talked about relations and functions, right? We've decided how to decide if something is a function. So right now, if we have something that is a function, you will see function notation. Now, on the last one, we marked this up and we had things that were functions and relations. And I said that we were not going to deal with numbers 9 and 10 for right now, just because it was one of those things where we wanted to talk a little bit about equations and all that stuff. But I will use this as an example for right now. Y is equal to 2x minus 5. So you can have an equation. Y is equal to 2x minus 5, right? You can have this equation. Let me get rid of that extra negative in there. All right. That is an equation. It happens to be the equation of a line, but that's not as big of a deal right now. All right. Even though you have that, isn't x the input? Right? That's what we said right over here, right? We said that up here. The x are the inputs. And then the y's are the outputs. All right. So when you put something in, you get something out, right? So when we start dealing with function notation, we'll still have this x in here because it is the input. But when you start dealing with function notation, this idea of a function, when you see function, this right here, you'll see it expressed differently. You would see this. F of x is how you say that. F of x. It's pronounced f of x. That's how you say that. It means the exact same thing. It means that you are going to have an input, like you have here, and you're going to have an output. It's just going to be called f of x. All right? So you'll be able to put things into x and get things, you'll be able to put things into x and get things out of f of x or y. All of that really just means y is the same as f of x. It's just notation. And in most of math, when you start dealing with functions and how we start looking at inputs and outputs, you'll see this notation more often than this. The y is usually used when we start talking about equations of things. So equations of lines, blah, blah, blah. You'll usually see the y. When you start talking about functions, you'll start seeing f of x. They mean the same thing. They are both the outputs. But when we start evaluating functions, which we'll do next, you'll use and see the function notation where you'll see that there are inputs, and once you put it in, you'll get an output. All right, that's all I really want to say about function notation. That's all it is. Don't make it more than it is. All right. It's just y is the same as f of x. This is just a different way of saying it, a different notation. And in fact, it is function notation. All right. That's it.